This is a film that was made when a better film idea was destroyed. In 2007, Oliver Stone had been set to make Pinkville, a movie about the My Lai massacre during the Vietnam War and the Army's subsequent cover-up of the incident. The film was set to star the likes of Bruce Willis, Woody Harrelson, Michael Pitt, and Channing Tatum, but the writer's strike led to a production delay that ended up scuttling the film. As a rebound, Stone made this film instead. Now, when I first heard that Oliver Stone was making a film about George W. Bush while the man was still in office, I reacted the same way most Oliver Stone fans would. I gleefully waited for the treatment that Stone would give this ridiculous caricature of a president that had been mocked so often and so viciously by others. Now, I wasn't necessarily expecting a bashing of W. If Stone could give a reasonably sympathetic view of Nixon, I was sure he could restrain himself from openly bashing W. I was expecting a light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek film that poked and prodded at the character of Bush and explored what made him the way he was. And for the most part, I got what I expected. But I still wish it had been a bit more. Perhaps due to a miniature budget, W mostly avoids the big issues of the Bush presidency that people have been harping about for so many years. Instead, we focus on W's relationships with the people in his life, with the really big and complex events referenced and alluded to. As for the portrayal of W himself, Josh Brolin really manages to pull off a portrayal of W from his 20s all the way up to his presidency. Considering that Brolin went through a considerable amount of weight in a very short time just to portray Bush at various different ages, I would definitely say that Brolin deserves to be commended. Now, I know this is a bit unfair, but W seems so mediocre in contrast to a lot of other Stone movies. Maybe it's because so much time is spent on little details of W's life that might be historically accurate, but are just unnecessary or insignificant. W once almost choked to death while watching TV? Okay. He got his entire cabinet lost on his ranch? That's sort of amusing. He forgot that John Quincy Adams was president? Okay. That's pretty much what we expect of him. But what about the controversy surrounding the 2000 elections? What about the scandals that Bush has gone through in his presidency? And this is even before the 2008 recession. This could have been filled with interesting information depicting George W. Bush as either a bumbling idiot or a hero or a monster. I mean, I know Stone doesn't want to portray him as a demon, but it almost seems equally biased to portray him as just a simple clown. I mean, maybe he is a simple clown in life, but there's just so much to say about him that wasn't said. But that aside, we get solid performances by Jeffrey Wright and James Cromwell as Colin Powell and George Bush Sr., respectively. Tandy Newton's role as Condoleezza Rice misses the mark for me, but we do get an excellent portrayal of Karl Rove by Toby Jones. We also get Ellen Burstyn and Elizabeth Banks playing Barbara and Laura Bush, as well as Bruce McGill playing George Tenet. By far the most interesting parts of the film rest with Dick Cheney. Richard Dreyfuss absorbs himself into the sinister persona of the vice president as he influences W's decisions in a way that reminds me of Iago or even Mephistopheles. The scene where they discuss the U.S. position in Iraq was always the scene that I remembered above the others, especially Cheney's big monologue. Overall, W works reasonably well, but it still feels like it was hastily cobbled together, as if Stone was trying to fill a movie quota after Pinkville didn't get made. Now, according to Stone, he had actually filmed many scenes that didn't end up in the final version, and he'd actually made 3 or 4 versions of W with different levels of comedy or drama. I don't know what the other versions were like. I mean, maybe they were worse than this, but I wish Stone had had the same chance with W as he'd had with Nixon. But then again, a 3-hour epic about W would probably have been too much for people still waiting for him to get out of the White House.